And for so many of us, and this is me also, and I just want to speak to you if this is you, for so many of us, 2025 was such a year of, I don't know, like, I don't even know how I want to define this year, and I don't want to like try and define it and wrap it all up with, you know, a pretty little bow on it and make it into any particular thing. And I also think it's so cliche that at the end of the year, we're like, oh, this was the year of stripping off and whatever. And, you know, we're calling in the breakthrough. But I didn't even think about calling in a breakthrough for 2026. I have not been thinking in any kind of way about gearing up or geeing up for the new year. And I love a new year, and I love a New Year's resolution as well. I just think, what a party pooper vibe when people are like, you shouldn't make New Year's resolutions because every single day should be the best day of your life. Like, all right, well done on your perfection. I think New Year's resolutions are super fun. I think there's something beautiful about a new year and the space that's there to dream, and that we're designed to be dreamers and all that good stuff. But if I'm honest, I haven't even been thinking that way. I've been so just in it with God, just in such a gratitude and joy and growing in what's been going on in my church, in my church, as opposed to, you know, my time and space privately with God and the things that I do online, but my actual church here on the coast, and just the equipping and the fire of the Lord that's been building there, and the just ways in which God has positioned and placed me and, you know, taken care of me and favored me that I never would have even thought to ask, like literally wouldn't have even thought of asking about it to God or anyone else. And it's just been so cool. And then at the same time, this year that's finishing has been the most uncertain year that I've ever had in business, the most befuddling or confusing or just annoying in some ways, the most flatlined that I would say I've ever felt creatively in my business. And I have been in online business. If you don't know me, I've been in online business for 20 years, just under 20 years. No, just over 20 years. 20 years. I don't like it. It's been a while, right? And my background largely through the bulk of those years, like through at least 10 of those years, was that I became one of the most well-known female coaches in the world for other female coaches in the online coaching space. I really was the forerunner of the entire online coaching industry. Like when I started online, nobody was like, I mean, I wasn't even on social media for the first 6 years. Nobody was being an influencer. Nobody was making money online. I mean, people were, but it was so rare. You know, nobody had heard the words online marketing or online business except for a couple of the OG godfathers of the entire industry. But this is how different it was. I tried to find a business coach to help me do whatever this internet thing was, and it did, like, I couldn't find one. It didn't exist. So can you imagine that? It was the Wild West. So I was a personal trainer. I started blogging. I built a little website myself because I wanted to post my articles about fat loss and nutrition and emotional eating and that sort of thing. And I loved writing, and I'd always loved writing. And it just honestly kind of grew, and I became very successful in online fitness. I was one of the first to be selling online fitness programs and like bikini body boot camp and that kind of thing. One of the first in Australia, one of the first worldwide really as well. And then from there, it just kind of shifted and grew, and it was always shifting and growing. And I moved into business and success mindset and identity and alignment. And I really like built my flag high and built my own empire. And this was in the same 20-year period where I was backslidden as a child of God. So I was very much, you know, wanting to walk that path of destiny and alignment and purpose and be who I'm here to be, and, you know, impact and teach and motivate and kick the butts of others to do the same. But there was a wrong spirit behind it, and I guess I knew that. I did know it somewhere within me, but I was very like, no, I know how to live my life, and, you know, I'm going to go here and go over here and have it all and chase what I want. And I did that. And I never had a problem, not a real problem, with producing content, being prolific, pouring forth a thing. And as I taught for years, I was the queen of letting a message be the message. And I came online before there were even rules about online marketing. So I certainly was never a fan of following the rules. But I literally started and made like more than $1 million, more than my first million, before anyone even invented those rules. And so I made tens of millions of dollars from that empire. I became super well known. I did pretty much everything that I said I was going to do, pretty much, not all of it. And I achieved more than, maybe not more than I ever thought possible, because if I'm honest, I always thought I was going to make and impact millions, and that was really a seed that God planted, and obviously I took it and ran with it in a different kind of a way. But there was so much good that came of it, and there was so much flow. And 2025 for me, and so many people I've spoken to, has been a year where it's like, where is the flow at? And I don't know about you, but for me, I'm in that flow and those rivers of the Lord in my private time with God, in my church, and when it's behind closed doors with my clients. But as far as whatever on earth I think I'm doing front facing to the internet, like social media, even my email newsletter, things I've done for years, things that have been like, baby, I will do a 7-figure launch in my sleep and not even blink, right? Things that have been so second nature to me for so long. I didn't want to do it. Didn't feel like I had the capacity for multiple reasons. Didn't really care. And just very like, I don't know what I'm here to do anymore, God. And then behind the scenes, just that certainty and fire that would build. So for me, and maybe for you, whatever your, story is and the particulars of that, I do feel, and I've seen again and again, that this year that's finishing has really been a year of realigning to right identity and finding, and the only way that we can actually find that is not by finding or figuring it out ourselves, but by the Spirit of the Lord having revealed to us what it looks like to walk in right identity now, in this season, and maybe even at all. And it's like when you've played a game a certain way your whole life, and then it's like you found out that those are not even the rules and that's not how the game is played. And it's just neurological patterning, right? It's hard to override. I was a personal trainer for 13 years. Haven't been a PT for a long time. Still love my fitness. But I remember one of the teachings that really just spoke to me for some reason, even though it wasn't that dramatic. But one of the teachings was, if you had a client that someone taught, if a client comes along and they've learned how to do a squat or a lunge, but they learn it wrong, they learn the faulty pattern, right? It's way harder to teach them than to just teach someone who never learned it in the first place, and they might be a fumbly, awkward mess. But at least you can teach them from the ground up, theoretically. And if someone's really ingrained in their pattern and their way, then you've got to kind of like break all of that down, and then it's breaking down the mindset of that as well, not just the physical patterning. So it's the actual biomechanics of it, it's the neurology of it, it's all that. There's a spiritual patterning, and then there's also a physical and even probably a biomechanical, I don't know, there's definitely a neurological patterning that occurs when we think that we knew how to do something, or when we did know how to do it, but it was through a worldly lens, a worldly standard, and building a worldly thing which has no life to it, because anything that's not of the Lord has no life and is in fact dead work and it's death. And anything that doesn't originate from the Spirit of the Lord is sin. And there's a pattern that's there that can take some time to break off. And for me, that pattern was very much in my identity, in, self-made empire building and my own sort of success and that sort of thing. And I actively wanted it broken off. I was definitely not trying to hold on to that over this past several years. It's been, a 3-year so far journey of renewal in the Lord since I really, since I was grabbed a hold of, and my life was thrown asunder by my own choice and surrender. And I went into the spiritual blender, boxing ring, and surgery table all at once with the Holy Spirit for months on end, which was at the start of 2023 when things really changed for me. And I saw the truth of Jesus in a way that I had never seen for my entire many decades of living within the Christian world, growing up that way. So I wanted it broken off.